wanted to introduce this idea of resentment with a story, and it's the story of Leonard Holt. Anyone heard of the name Leonard Holt? Interesting fella. He had worked at this Pennsylvania paper mill for 19 plus years, around 19 years. It was a long time. And had friends there that he had known a long time. And he was not only a worker in that Pennsylvania paper mill, but when he wasn't there, he was leading a Boy Scout troop. When he wasn't leading the Boy Scout troop, he was at home with his children. When he wasn't at home with his children or leading Boy Scouts, he was volunteering in the volunteer fire department or the volunteer fire brigade there in his town. This is a guy who was a model citizen, a very beacon of community, everything that you would want, very well liked, very well respected, until one day everything changed. And Leonard Holt got up one morning, he got dressed, he put on his coat, he put 2 pistols in each pocket of his coat, and he went to that Pennsylvania paper mill, got out of his car, started walking up and down the hall of that Pennsylvania paper mill, and just started executing people one by one. And 30 deadly bullets fired, many casualties. And after Leonard Holt had executed all of his targets, the cops came in, he raised up his hands and he said, "Come and get me." And so they came and got him. As you can imagine, the community was shocked. What would cause a guy like Leonard Holt, someone who was respectable, someone who was responsible, someone who was a beacon of the community, how could Leonard Holt, a church member, someone who was well known and well liked, how could he do something like that? And so the investigation got started, and behind each line of evidence that came out was this similar theme. Leonard Holt was trapped. He was struggling with the demon of resentment. Turns out that many of the people who Leonard Holt had executed that day were people he had known 15 plus years. They were people who had been promoted over Leonard, even though he had been there longer. Some people getting there and not even being there but 1 or 2 years and getting promoted, and Leonard just couldn't handle it. Nobody else noticed, nobody else seemed to care, but Leonard cared, and he took matters into his own hand on that very terrible day. It wasn't just that. There were other red flags. Leonard had a carpool, and many people had opted out of the carpool because Leonard was driving like a maniac. They couldn't handle it. A neighbor of Leonard's, Leonard punched him in the face because of an argument over a fallen tree in the yard. All kinds of red flags that Leonard was struggling, that Leonard was trapped, that he was resentful. And one day, Leonard goes from just being another face in the crowd, regular guy, to having his face put on Time magazine, the cover. Leonard Holt, responsible, respectable, resentful. How does that happen?